Lily, want to keep it, Isabella Washington said with a warm smile, her brown eyes sparkling as she handed the small spiral fossil to 6-year-old Lily Harrington, who sat in her pink wheelchair, clutching a T-Rex model. The grand ballroom of the Fairmont Hotel buzzed around them, but in that moment, Isabella's kindness created a world just for Lily, whose face lit up with wonder. Where are you listening from today, folks? Drop a comment and let us know. Maybe you're from New York, London, or somewhere unexpected. What do you think happens when a single question at a wedding sparks a journey from loneliness to love? Subscribe to our channel for the latest stories that'll keep you guessing, and share where. The grand ballroom of the Fairmont Hotel was a symphony of opulence and celebration, where crystal chandeliers cast golden flecks across the marble floors like scattered stars. Champagne flutes clinked in harmonious toasts, and laughter rippled through the air like waves on a sunlit sea. Elegant guests in tailored tuxedos and shimmering gowns swirled about, their conversations a tapestry of business deals, family gossip, and heartfelt congratulations for the newlyweds. Children darted between the tables like playful sprites, their patent leather shoes tapping rhythms against the polished stone, their fancy dresses twirling in bursts of color. It was a night designed for joy, for connection, for memories etched in the glow of candlelight and white roses cascading from crystal vases overhead. But for 6-year-old Lily Harrington, the evening unfolded like a beautiful painting she could admire but never touch. Seated in her pink wheelchair at a solitary table near the edge of the room, she felt the weight of invisibility pressing down on her small shoulders. Lily was a vision of delicate innocence, a white girl with curly blonde hair that framed her bright blue eyes like a halo, her cheeks flushed with the faint pink of suppressed emotion. 3 years ago, a horrific car accident had shattered her world, leaving her with a spinal injury that stole the simple freedom of walking. Now her legs lay still beneath a frilly dress, and her small hands clutched a hand-painted T-Rex model, its plastic scales meticulously colored in shades of green and brown from her artistic imagination. She had named it Rexy, her faithful companion in a world that often forgot she existed. The other children, a boisterous group aged 5 to 10, gathered at a nearby table, their animated chatter filling the air with tales of playground conquests and favorite cartoons. Lily watched them longingly, her sharp mind buzzing with facts she could share. How the Tyrannosaurus Rex had a bite force stronger than any land animal today, or how some dinosaurs might have had feathers like colorful birds. She adored dinosaurs. They were her escape, ancient giants who roamed free in her drawings and dreams. But tonight, none of those children even glanced her way. One boy with tousled brown hair and a mischievous grin whispered to his friend, "She's probably too fragile or something. Look at that chair." The words stung like hidden thorns, though Lily pretended not to hear. She had grown accustomed to such murmurs, the way eyes slid past her as if she were a piece of furniture rather than a girl bursting with curiosity and laughter. Guests approached her table occasionally, drawn perhaps by curiosity or obligation, but their interactions were fleeting shadows. A middle-aged woman in a pearl necklace paused, her smile polite but distant. "What a sweet little thing," she cooed, not to Lily, but over her head as if the child couldn't respond. Then, spotting the wheelchair, her expression shifted to pity, and she murmured an excuse about needing another drink before drifting away. Lily's father, Yannick Harrington, observed it all from 30 feet across the room. A billionaire CEO of Harrington Tech, Yannick cut an imposing figure in his perfectly tailored black tuxedo, his blonde hair combed back with precision, his green eyes sharp and commanding. He stood amid a cluster of business associates, their nods of deference a testament to his empire built on cutting-edge technology. But tonight his mind was fractured. Each glance at Lily tightened his chest like a vice, a familiar ache that no boardroom victory could ease. He overheard Mrs. Whitaker, a socialite dripping in diamonds, whisper to her husband as they passed nearby. "Such a pity about Yannick's daughter. So young to be dealing with all that. Makes you grateful for what you have, doesn't it?" Yannick's jaw clenched, his fists balling subtly at his sides. They spoke of Lily as a tragedy, a footnote in his success story, never bothering to see the brilliant spark beneath. The girl who spoke 3 languages fluently, who could draw prehistoric landscapes with the detail of an artist twice her age, who dreamed of digging up fossils in far-off deserts despite never being able to run across one. The accident had taken her mother too, leaving Yannick to navigate single fatherhood amid the isolation of wealth. He had built walls around them both, shielding Lily from a world that might hurt her, but in moments like this, he wondered if those walls were prisons. Lily, sensing the growing void around her, arranged her T-Rex in imaginary battles on the pristine white tablecloth. Rexy charged against invisible foes, stegosauruses with spiked tails, pterodactyls soaring overhead, her sharp mind weaving epic narratives to combat the loneliness. She had learned this resilience the hard way. Crying at events like these only drew awkward stares, making adults fidget and flee faster. Better to stay composed, to find beauty in solitude, even as her heart yearned for a playmate, for someone to say, "Hey, want to join our game?" The wedding cake was being cut now, a towering confection of white frosting and edible flowers. And the photographer called out cheerfully, "All kids over here for a group photo. Let's get your little ones together." Hope flickered in Lily's blue eyes. She straightened in her wheelchair, smoothing her dress, and began wheeling herself toward the gathering children. They jumped up excitedly, adjusting bow ties and fluffing skirts, their energy electric. For a brief, shining moment, Lily imagined herself in the frame, smiling among them, her wheelchair just another part of the picture. But as she neared, the photographer spotted her and placed a gentle but firm hand on her chair. "Oh, not you, sweetie," he said, his voice laced with awkward kindness. "This might be difficult with your situation. Why don't you stay there, and we'll take a nice photo of you separately." The words landed like a soft blow, deflating her spirit. Lily's face fell, but she nodded obediently, wheeling back to her isolated table without a word. The children posed without her, their laughter a distant echo, and Lily returned to her T-Rex, arranging it in a defensive stance, as if guarding her fragile heart. Yannick witnessed the exchange, his heart shattering into 1,000 pieces. The rational CEO in him knew he should network, secure that deal with the London investor lurking nearby. But the father screamed to scoop her up and flee this gilded cage of exclusion. He started toward her, his polished shoes clicking purposefully. But Marcus, his partner, caught his arm again. "Yannick, just a moment. The investor's ready." Yannick hesitated, glancing between his daughter's bowed head and the opportunity that could propel his company forward. 5 minutes, he promised himself. But as he shook hands and dove into talks of mergers and innovations, those minutes stretched, leaving Lily alone once more in the shimmering ballroom, her T-Rex her only ally against the encroaching shadows of invisibility. Yannick Harrington's polished shoes echoed softly against the marble floor as he took that first determined step toward his daughter, his mind a whirlwind of paternal fury and regret. The grand ballroom's splendor blurred around him, the twinkling golden lights, the cascading white roses, the swirl of elegant gowns, all fading into insignificance against the image of Lily's fallen face. Her hopeful advance toward the group photo rebuffed like an unwelcome intruder. How could they not see her? Not the wheelchair, but the girl, the radiant, brilliant child who could light up a room with her encyclopedic knowledge of dinosaurs, her laughter like tinkling bells when she recited facts about the mighty Brachiosaurus towering over ancient forests. But no, they saw only limitations, a fragile doll to be pitied from afar, and it ignited a fire in Yannick's chest that no billion-dollar deal could quench. He was halfway across the room when a firm hand clamped onto his arm, halting his stride like an anchor in stormy seas. "Yannick, just a moment," Marcus Thorne, his business partner, urged in a low, urgent tone, his eyes gleaming with the predatory excitement of opportunity. Marcus was a sharp-dressed shark in these waters, always scenting blood in the form of lucrative investments. The London investor, Reginald Hayes, is right here. He flew in specifically for this event. This could be the breakthrough for our quantum computing division. 5 minutes tops, and we seal the future of Harrington Tech. Yannick's green eyes flashed with conflict, his jaw tightening as he glanced between Marcus's insistent grip and Lily's solitary table. The rational part of him, the CEO who had built an empire from nothing, who navigated boardrooms with the precision of a surgeon, knew the stakes. Hayes represented millions in funding, partnerships that could propel his company into uncharted technological frontiers. But the father in him roared in protest, seeing Lily's small hands fiddling with her T-Rex model, her curly blonde hair catching the light as she staged silent battles on the tablecloth, her blue eyes dimmed by resignation. 5 minutes, Yannick conceded through gritted teeth, allowing himself to be steered toward the cluster of suited men where Hayes stood, a portly figure with a booming laugh and a glass of scotch in hand. The conversation ignited immediately. Talk of algorithms, market disruptions, and potential synergies that could revolutionize data security. Yannick dove in, his voice steady and commanding, drawing nods of approval from Hayes. But his mind fractured, splintering between the deal unfolding before him and the ache gnawing at his core. How many times had this happened? How often had he prioritized the empire over the one person who mattered most? The accident 3 years ago had stolen his wife, Isabella's mother, leaving a void that wealth couldn't fill. He had vowed to protect Lily, to give her everything, a sprawling mansion, private tutors, the best medical care money could buy. Yet here she was, isolated in a sea of celebration, her spirit undimmed, but her world shrinking with every averted gaze. Meanwhile, Lily sat perfectly still, her wheelchair a throne of solitude amid the revelry. She positioned Rexy against an imaginary foe, a hulking triceratops conjured from her vivid imagination, whispering commands under her breath. "Charge forward, Rexy! Use your mighty jaws!" The plastic dinosaur lunged in her mind's eye, a fierce warrior in a prehistoric arena. But reality intruded like a cold draft. The laughter from the children's table grew louder, their games escalating into a chaotic chase around the dessert cart. Lily watched, her heart twisting with a longing she could barely articulate. Why didn't they invite her? She could tell them stories about how some dinosaurs lived in herds for protection, or how the pteranodons soared on wings wider than a school bus. But no one approached. Even the waiters, bustling with trays of hors d'oeuvres and sparkling juices, skimmed past her table without a second glance, as if she blended into the decor. The bride, Elena Rossi, floated by in her ethereal white gown, a vision of bridal bliss with her dark hair pinned in elegant curls, and a bouquet of lilies clutched in her hands. She paused near Lily's table, her warm brown eyes catching the child's isolation amid the crowd. "Hello, little one," Elena said kindly, bending slightly to meet Lily's gaze. "Are you having fun at my wedding?" Lily nodded politely, her voice small but steady. "It's very beautiful. Congratulations on your marriage." Elena's smile faltered as she took in the empty chairs around the girl, the untouched plate of cake, and the way other children steered clear. "Thank you, sweetheart. Why aren't you playing with the others? They seem to be having a grand time." Before Lily could respond, perhaps to explain the invisible wall her wheelchair seemed to erect, Elena's mother-in-law appeared at her elbow, a formidable woman in a beaded gown, her expression one of practiced urgency. "Elena, darling, the senator is asking for you. This could be crucial for your husband's campaign prospects." Elena hesitated, her gaze lingering on Lily with a flicker of genuine concern. "I should," she began, but her mother-in-law was already steering her away. "Of course, dear. Obligations first." Elena cast one last apologetic glance over her shoulder, her gown whispering as she vanished into the throng. Lily whispered to herself, echoing words she'd heard adults utter countless times. "Business first." She straightened Rexy on the table, her artistic fingers tracing the model's ridges, finding solace in the familiar texture. The flower girl, a cherubic toddler with bouncy curls and a basket of petals, toddled nearby under her mother's watchful eye. For a moment, Lily's eyes lit up. Perhaps this little one would approach, curious and unafraid. But the mother spotted the wheelchair and subtly redirected her child, murmuring something about not bothering the sweet girl. The toddler waved shyly before being led away, leaving Lily to her silent vigil. The loneliness pressed heavier now, a crushing weight no 6-year-old should bear. She understood in her child's way that her presence made people uncomfortable, The wheels, the stillness of her legs, the reminder of fragility in a world of carefree motion. But she could laugh, tell jokes, and share stories just like them. Why couldn't they see? Back in the investor huddle, Yannick's 5 minutes had stretched into 15, then 20, as Hayes delved deeper into projections and synergies. Yannick nodded, contributed insights, but his thoughts rebelled, flashing to Lily's face, the way her hope had crumpled like paper when the photographer turned her away. Enough, with a polite but firm excuse. "Gentlemen, we'll continue this soon." He extracted himself, his heart pounding as he strode toward his daughter. She sat exactly as he'd left her, composed but with a sadness in her blue eyes that no child should carry. Her T-Rex poised mid-battle as if frozen in time. "I'm sorry, my little explorer," Yannick said softly, kneeling beside her wheelchair, his voice thick with emotion. He brushed a curl from her forehead, his touch gentle, laden with the guilt of a father stretched too thin. "Papa had to take care of some things." Lily managed a small smile, her resilience a dagger to his soul. "It's okay, Papa. I know business is important." The words spoken with such quiet acceptance, cut deeper than any accusation. This was his daughter, the one who painted dinosaurs with the skill of a prodigy, who dreamed of unearthing fossils despite the barriers life had imposed. She deserved a world that embraced her, not one that sidelined her. Yannick stood, gripping the wheelchair handles, his resolve hardening as he began pushing her toward the ballroom exit. The night air beyond promised escape from this facade of joy. Both father and daughter unaware that their path was about to intersect with a voice that would shatter the walls around them forever. As Yannick Harrington gripped the handles of Lily's wheelchair, propelling them toward the ballroom's grand exit, the weight of the evening pressed upon him like an unyielding fog. The doors loomed ahead, promising escape from the gilded prison of exclusion, where laughter and clinking glasses mocked their solitude. Lily sat quietly, her curly blonde hair catching the final glimmers of chandelier light, her small fingers tracing the ridges of her T-Rex model as if seeking comfort in its plastic ferocity. Yannick's mind raced, visions of whisking her home to their sprawling mansion, where private tutors and custom art studios shielded her from the world's cruel indifference. But just as the cool night air whispered through the cracked doors, a melodic voice sliced through the din, warm and unwavering, halting them in their tracks. "Excuse me, but why is this lovely girl sitting all alone?" Yannick turned sharply, his green eyes narrowing in surprise. Approaching them was a woman in her early 30s, her presence a beacon of genuine warmth amid the superficial sparkle. Isabella Washington, a black single mother and elementary school teacher, moved with effortless grace, her emerald dress hugging her figure modestly, complementing the rich brown of her skin and the soft curls framing her face. Her brown eyes held a depth of empathy that seemed to pierce the invisible barriers others had erected, and her smile radiated the kind of kindness born from life's own trials, raising a child alone while inspiring young minds in a bustling classroom. She wasn't speaking to Yannick, her gaze locked directly on Lily, treating the child as the center of the moment, not a peripheral pity. Lily blinked up at her blue eyes widening in astonishment. Most adults addressed questions about her to her father, as if she were a silent prop in her own story. But Isabella knelt slightly, bringing herself to eye level, her voice gentle yet engaging. "Well, sweetie, you look like you've got a whole adventure going on with that dinosaur there. Mind if I join for a bit?" The simplicity of the question unlocked something in Lily, a flicker of hope that bloomed into tentative excitement. "The other kids were busy playing," she replied softly, her grip loosening on the T-Rex as curiosity overtook caution. "I'm Lily Harrington. This is Rexy. He's a T-Rex with the strongest bite ever." Isabella's laugh was like sunlight breaking through clouds, warm and inviting. "Rexy, huh? What a fierce name. I'm Isabella Washington, and I teach second graders who would go wild over a dino expert like you. Tell me, Lily, what's the coolest fact you know about T-Rexes? I bet it's something that'll blow my mind." Yannick stood frozen, his billionaire facade cracking under the weight of this unexpected grace. He had commanded boardrooms, negotiated empires, But this stranger's effortless connection to his daughter left him speechless, a rare vulnerability creeping in. Lily, sensing no judgment, leaned forward in her wheelchair, her voice gaining strength. Well, T-Rex had over 60 teeth, each as big as a banana, and they could crush bones like crackers. But some scientists think they might have had feathers, like big scary birds. Isabella's eyes widened in genuine fascination, not the patronizing awe Yannick had seen from others. Feathers? Now that's incredible. I can picture it. A fluffy T-Rex strutting around. You know I carry something that might interest a dino lover like you. She reached into her small purse, pulling out a palm-sized ammonite fossil, its spiral shell gleaming with ancient iridescence under the ballroom lights. This is from a prehistoric sea creature, a cousin to your dinosaurs. It's millions of years old. Want to keep it? Maybe it can be Rexy's treasure. Lily's gasp echoed softly, her small hands trembling as she accepted the gift, turning it over in wonder. The fossil's ridges felt like whispers from a lost world, igniting her imagination. Really? For me? Thank you, Miss Isabella. It's so pretty, like a swirled-up shell from a giant snail. Yannick cleared his throat, stepping forward at last, his voice laced with gratitude and awe. I'm Yannick Harrington, Lily's father. Thank you for talking to her like this. It's rare. Isabella stood gracefully, extending a hand with a firm, warm shake. No need to thank me, Mr. Harrington. Conversation with a delightful child should be the most natural thing in the world. Her words carried no rebuke, yet they stung Yannick gently, highlighting the cruelty of the evening's rejections. Turning back to Lily, she continued seamlessly. So, what other dinosaurs do you like? Got a favorite besides Rexy? As Lily launched into tales of the long-necked Brachiosaurus munching treetops and the swift velociraptor hunting in packs, her face glowed with unbridled enthusiasm. Her hands gestured animatedly, the wheelchair forgotten in the rush of shared passion. Isabella listened intently, asking thoughtful questions. Did velociraptors have claws like hooks? Drawing out Lily's encyclopedic knowledge with the skill of a seasoned teacher. For the first time that night, Lily felt seen, not as a poor little girl in a chair, but as a storyteller, an expert, a friend. Yannick watched in silent amazement, his protective instincts easing as he witnessed his daughter's transformation. The ballroom's noise faded to a distant hum. This interaction was a sanctuary amid the chaos. Isabella shared snippets from her classroom, where kids built papier-mâché volcanoes and learned about ancient creatures. You know, Lily, my students would love to hear your dinosaur facts. Ever thought about visiting a class? We could even draw some T-Rexes together. Lily's eyes sparkled like stars. Really? They wouldn't mind my wheelchair. Not one bit, Isabella assured her, her tone firm and reassuring. At Riverside Elementary, we celebrate what makes everyone unique. Your stories would be the highlight. The conversation flowed like a gentle stream, weaving through Lily's drawings at home and Isabella's tales of field trips to museums. Yannick interjected occasionally, his voice softening as he shared Lily's talent for art. Prehistoric scenes rendered with startling accuracy. Isabella nodded appreciatively, her empathy bridging the gap between their worlds. As the band struck up a lively tune and couples flooded the dance floor, Isabella glanced at her watch but lingered, unwilling to break the spell. Finally, as the evening's energy began to wane, Isabella pulled out her phone. I'd love to stay in touch if that's okay. Maybe we can arrange that classroom visit, or just chat about more dino adventures. Yannick nodded, exchanging numbers with a sense of profound relief. We'd like that very much. Lily clutched her new fossil tightly, waving as Isabella departed with a final warm smile. The ballroom doors awaited, but now the night felt different, touched by a kind voice that had shattered the silence of isolation. In the wake of that transformative encounter, the Harrington mansion, once a fortress of quiet luxury perched on manicured hills overlooking the city, began to hum with a newfound energy. Isabella Washington's kind voice lingered like an echo in Yannick's mind, a beacon piercing the fog of his protective isolation. Over the ensuing weeks, her presence wove itself into their lives with the subtlety of a gentle breeze, starting with tentative texts, simple inquiries about Lily's latest dinosaur drawings, shared articles on prehistoric discoveries, that blossomed into visits filled with laughter and possibility. Yannick, ever the cautious guardian, found himself opening the grand oak doors to this remarkable woman, her emerald dress from the wedding now traded for casual jeans and a cozy sweater, her curly hair tied back in a practical ponytail that spoke of a life balance between classroom chaos and single motherhood. It began innocently enough, with Isabella dropping by one afternoon, bearing a gift wrapped in simple brown paper, tied with a ribbon the color of ancient amber. "For the dino expert," she announced with a wink as Lily wheeled eagerly into the sunlit foyer, her blue eyes alight with anticipation. Inside was a beautifully illustrated book on paleontology, its pages bursting with vivid reconstructions of Jurassic landscapes, towering ferns, mist-shrouded volcanoes, and herds of majestic sauropods stretching their necks toward the heavens. Lily's gasp was pure delight, her small fingers tracing the glossy images as if they might come alive under her touch. "Look, Papa, this Brachiosaurus has spots like a giraffe, and there's a fossil just like the one you gave me." Yannick watched from the doorway, his tailored shirt sleeves rolled up from a rare day working from home, a soft smile cracking his usually stoic facade. The mansion's sterile elegance, marble floors echoing underfoot, priceless abstract art adorning the walls, felt warmer in Isabella's presence, as if her empathy infused the space with life. That evening, over a dinner of Yannick's homemade pasta, al dente linguine tossed with fresh clams, garlic, and a hint of lemon zest, a recipe he'd mastered in the lonely nights after the accident, conversation flowed like fine wine. Isabella sat at the polished mahogany table, her brown eyes reflecting the candlelight as she listened to Lily's animated recounting of the book's highlights. "You know, Lily," Isabella said, leaning forward conspiratorially, "these pictures are amazing, but I bet your drawings could tell even better stories. What if you wrote adventures about a girl exploring those worlds, in a magical wheelchair that turns into a time machine?" Lily's fork paused midair, sauce dripping unnoticed as her imagination ignited like a spark on dry tinder. "A time machine? Like zooming back to meet real T-Rexes? But what if they try to eat me?" Her voice rose in excitement, the wheelchair beneath her no longer a symbol of limitation, but a vessel for boundless journeys. Isabella laughed, a sound rich and encouraging, like the first rain after drought. "That's the fun part. Your heroine could outsmart them with her smarts, using dinosaur facts to make friends instead of foes. And you could illustrate it all with your incredible talent." She turned to Yannick, her gaze steady and persuasive. "I've got connections through my teaching network, children's publishers who love stories that inspire. I could introduce Lily's work. It might just become a book series." Yannick's heart stirred, a mix of awe and apprehension churning within him. He set down his wine glass, the crystal chiming softly against the table. As CEO of Harrington Tech, he commanded boardrooms with unyielding confidence, forging alliances that spanned continents. Yet here in his own home, this unassuming teacher challenged his carefully constructed world. "A book? That's ambitious," he replied, his voice measured, though a flicker of hope danced in his green eyes. He glanced at Lily, whose face glowed with unbridled possibility, her curly blonde hair catching the warm light as she sketched invisible scenes in the air. For so long he had shielded her, private lessons in the sunroom, art supplies delivered by the crate, medical specialists on call, to protect her from the rejections that mirrored his own buried grief. But Isabella's words planted seeds of doubt in that armor. Was protection truly freedom, or merely a gilded cage? As the meal progressed, Isabella delved deeper, her passion for education shining through like sunlight on rippling water. She spoke of Riverside Elementary, the school where she taught, a haven of inclusivity with ramps weaving through colorful hallways and classrooms buzzing with diverse young minds. "Children are naturally curious, not cruel," she explained, her fork gesturing emphatically. "They'd swarm Lily for her dino expertise. Imagine her leading a lesson on fossils, Kids hanging on every word. We've got students with all kinds of abilities thriving there. Differences are celebrated, not sidelined. Yannick listened intently, his fork tracing patterns in his pasta as memories of the wedding's subtle cruelties resurfaced. The averted eyes, the whispered pities. I've worried about exposure, he admitted, his voice dropping to a vulnerable timbre rarely heard in corporate negotiations. The world can be harsh. What if they see only the chair? Isabella met his gaze without flinching, her empathy a bridge across his fears. They might at first, but kids adapt fast. With the right environment, Lily could build real friendships, share her gifts. It's not about hiding, it's about growing. Lily, emboldened, chimed in. I could show them my drawings and tell them about the ammonite you gave me. It's from a sea dinosaur cousin. The fossil rested on the table now, a tangible link to wonder, its spiral form echoing the twists of fate that had brought Isabella into their orbit. Inspired by the book and Isabella's encouragement, Lily retreated to her art studio after dinner, a bright, spacious room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking manicured gardens, easels stocked with paints and canvases tailored to her reach. Hours melted away as she drew vibrant scenes, a wheelchair morphing into a sleek time vessel, hurtling through portals to lush prehistoric realms where dinosaurs roamed under double moons. Her strokes were precise yet whimsical, colors blending in explosions of emerald forests and crimson sunsets, her wheelchair integrated as a heroic chariot rather than a hindrance. Yannick peeked in later, finding her absorbed, her tongue poking out in concentration, a sight that melted his reservations further. That night, as Lily slept clutching her new book, Yannick sat in his study, the city's lights twinkling below like distant stars. He researched Riverside Elementary on his laptop, scrolling through photos of smiling children in inclusive classrooms, ramps leading to playgrounds where differences dissolved in play. Isabella's confidence echoed in his thoughts, stirring a dormant hope. Perhaps Lily could thrive beyond their sheltered existence, her talents blooming in the soil of community. The seeds of possibility had taken root, fragile yet insistent, challenging Yannick to envision a future where protection gave way to empowerment. Little did he know, these tendrils would soon entwine their lives in ways profound and irreversible, drawing Isabella ever closer into the heart of their world. The grand doors of Riverside Elementary swung open like portals to an uncharted realm, and on that crisp morning, Lily Harrington wheeled through them with a mix of trepidation and exhilaration churning in her small chest. The school was a vibrant tapestry of colors and sounds, hallways lined with rainbow murals, laughter echoing from classrooms where desks clustered like friendly islands, and ramps curving gracefully to ensure no one was left behind. Isabella Washington had painted it as a haven, and now with her father's hand on her shoulder and Isabella herself walking beside them, Lily stepped, or rather rolled, into this new world. Yannick Harrington, his blonde hair slightly tousled from a sleepless night of worry, scanned the bustling corridors with the vigilance of a general surveying a battlefield. As CEO of Harrington Tech, he thrived on control, but here, amid the chaos of backpack-toting children and harried teachers, he felt the reins slipping, his protective instincts clashing with the hope Isabella had ignited. Lily's first day unfolded like a tentative bloom under spring sun. Mrs. Rivera, her teacher, a warm woman with a cascade of dark hair and a smile that crinkled her eyes, welcomed her with open arms, positioning her desk at the front where she could participate fully. Class, meet Lily. She's a dinosaur expert, so get ready for some roaring facts, Mrs. Rivera announced, her voice cutting through the murmurs. The children turned, their eyes wide, not with pity, but curiosity. A boy with freckles leaned forward, whispering loudly, "Does she know about the Spinosaurus? It's got a sail like a shark." Lily's heart raced, her fingers tightening around Rexy in her lap. She nodded shyly, her voice emerging stronger than she expected. Spinosaurus was semi-aquatic, like a giant crocodile with claws. Gasps rippled through the room, followed by a barrage of questions. What's the biggest dino? Did they have feathers? And just like that, the barrier shattered. No whispers of fragile or averted gazes. Instead, eager faces clustered around her at recess, begging for more stories. As days blurred into a rhythm of discovery, Lily thrived in ways Yannick had scarcely dared to imagine. Her classmates didn't see the wheelchair as a wall, but as a cool chariot. One girl, Sarah, with pigtails and boundless energy, pleaded for wheelchair rides during playtime, giggling as Lily spun her in controlled circles on the accessible playground. Tommy, the freckled boy, became her shadow, trading lunchbox treats for dinosaur sketches she drew with swift, confident strokes. Her grades soared. Math problems became puzzles solved with the logic of fossil timelines, and reading assignments sparked essays on prehistoric survival. But it was the social alchemy that transformed her most shyness, gave way to a radiant confidence, her laughter ringing out in hallways once silent in her mansion isolation. Isabella's guidance was the invisible thread weaving it all. She volunteered in the classroom, facilitating Lily's first Dino Day presentation, where foam models and hand-drawn maps turned the room into a Jurassic wonderland. At home, the mansion's echoing halls were filled with echoes of this new vitality. Isabella's visits became a staple, her car pulling up the driveway like a herald of warmth. She attended Lily's physical therapy sessions in the home gym, cheering as Lily strengthened her arms with weighted exercises, turning grueling routines into games of dino strength challenges. Homework hours in the sunlit study evolved into collaborative adventures. Isabella helping Lily refine her wheelchair time machine stories, polishing narratives where the young heroine outwitted raptors with clever traps and befriended gentle herbivores under alien skies. "These tales are magic, Lily," Isabella would say, her brown eyes sparkling as she typed drafts on her laptop. "They show kids that adventures don't need legs. They need heart." With Isabella's connections, the stories landed on the desk of Dino Dream Publishers, a boutique house specializing in empowering children's lit. The editor's response came swiftly. "Potential? This is gold. A series celebrating resilience through imagination. We see a contract here." Yannick observed it all with a heart swelling between pride and vulnerability. Evenings around the dinner table, once quiet affairs of father-daughter chats, now brimmed with Isabella's presence, her laughter mingling with Lily's as they recounted school antics over steaming plates of Yannick's signature roast chicken infused with herbs from the garden. He noticed the subtle shifts, Lily's posture straighter, her voice bolder, her drawings evolving from solitary sketches to vibrant illustrations destined for book covers. Isabella brought a softness to their sterile luxury, her single mother resilience mirroring Yannick's battles, drawing him in with quiet conversations about balancing dreams and duties. One evening, as Lily proudly displayed her latest T-Rex masterpiece, a fierce beast with feathered crests, inspired by a school lesson, Yannick caught Isabella's gaze across the room. In that shared look, he realized the seeds had sprouted into something profound. Their lives were irrevocably changing, not just for Lily's blooming world, but for the possibilities awakening in his guarded soul. The new world wasn't just Riverside's halls, it was the horizon expanding before them, fraught with risks yet shimmering with promise. The Harrington mansion, once a bastion of polished solitude, had transformed into a sanctuary of shared warmth, where Isabella Washington's visits wove threads of connection that bound the trio ever tighter. Her presence became as essential as the air they breathed, arriving with the reliability of dawn, her car crunching gravel in the driveway, her laughter preceding her through the grand foyer like a herald of joy. Yannick Harrington found himself anticipating these moments with a fervor that surprised even him. His days at Harrington Tech blurring into evenings where the sterile glow of spreadsheets yielded to the vibrant chaos of family life. Isabella, with her curly hair often swept into a casual bun, and her outfits blending teacher practicality with effortless style, slipped seamlessly into their routines, her role evolving from kind acquaintance to indispensable confidant. It started with the small, intimate gestures that bridged the gaps Yannick couldn't fill alone. One afternoon in Lily's sun-drenched art studio, Isabella sat cross-legged on the floor beside the wheelchair, an array of hair accessories spread like treasures before them. "Every explorer needs to know how to braid," she declared with a wink, her fingers deftly weaving strands of a doll's yarn hair into intricate patterns. Lily watched, mesmerized, her blue eyes wide as Isabella guided her small hands through the motions. Like this, over, under, pull tight. Now you try. Lily's attempts were clumsy at first, loops slipping like elusive dinosaurs, but Isabella's patience was a steady anchor. Perfect, look at that. Your doll's ready for a Jurassic adventure. Giggles erupted as they adorned the doll with tiny bows, and soon Lily experimented on her curls, the mirror reflecting a girl discovering new facets of herself. Yannick, pausing in the doorway with a cup of coffee in hand, felt a pang of gratitude mingled with longing. These were the feminine rights he could never provide, echoes of what Lily's mother might have shared. From there, the bond deepened through shared triumphs that elevated Lily's world. Isabella orchestrated a special Dino Day at Riverside Elementary, transforming the classroom into a prehistoric playground with foam models and interactive maps she had sourced herself. Lily, positioned at the front like a young professor, wheeled back and forth with newfound authority, her voice ringing clear as she unveiled facts about the mighty Allosaurus and its razor-sharp claws. They hunted in packs like wolves with scales, she proclaimed, holding up a drawing she had created, a vivid scene of amber-eyed predators circling their prey under a blood-red sky. The children leaned forward, spellbound, their questions flying like arrows. Could they beat a T-Rex? What if they time-traveled to now? Cheers erupted at her responses, and when Tommy declared her the coolest expert ever, Lily's cheeks flushed with pride, her wheelchair forgotten in the rush of acceptance. Isabella stood at the back, her brown eyes misting with quiet victory, knowing she had engineered this moment to showcase Lily's brilliance. Evenings at the mansion evolved into collaborative havens, where Isabella's influence turned aspirations into tangible realities. In the cozy library, shelves lined with leather-bound tomes and glowing under soft lamps, she facilitated virtual meetings with Dino Dream publishers. Seated around Yannick's antique desk, laptop screens flickering with eager editors' faces, Isabella championed Lily's stories with the fervor of a guardian. These narratives aren't just adventures, they're empowerments, she argued, her voice steady and persuasive. A girl in a wheelchair as the hero, outsmarting dinosaurs with wit and wonder? It's revolutionary. Lily, perched eagerly in her chair, shared her polished manuscripts, tales of time portals swirling like vortexes, where the protagonists forge alliances with gentle apatosauruses and evaded cunning velociraptors through clever riddles. The editors nodded vigorously, one exclaiming, "This has series potential, resilience wrapped in roar." Contracts materialized like magic, promising illustrations brought to life by Lily's own hand. And Yannick watched, his heart swelling as his daughter signed her name with a flourish, her dreams crystallizing into print. Yet amid these milestones, the bond's true depth revealed itself in quieter, more intimate currents. Isabella attended Lily's physical therapy sessions in the mansion's state-of-the-art gym, where mirrored walls reflected determined efforts. What once were grueling exercises, arm lifts with weighted bands, core strengthening on mats, became playful challenges under her watch. "Pretend you're lifting a boulder to block a dino cave," she'd encourage, her hands steadying Lily as muscles strained and sweat beaded. Lily's laughter echoed off the walls, turning pain into triumph, and Yannick, observing from the sidelines, marveled at how Isabella infused every moment with purpose. Dinners grew longer, conversations meandering from school anecdotes to deeper musings, Yannick sharing the burdens of his empire, Isabella recounting her trials as a single mother, their vulnerabilities intertwining like vines. The crescendo came one enchanted evening as they decorated a towering fir tree in the living room, its branches laden with ornaments glinting like stars. Lily, reaching from her wheelchair with a hooked pole, hung a sparkling T-Rex bauble high. "Miss Isabella," she announced suddenly, her voice solemn amid the festive glow, "you should marry Papa. You love us, and we love you. It'd make us a real family." The room fell silent, the crackling fireplace the only sound as Yannick's face flushed crimson, his green eyes darting to Isabella. She knelt beside Lily, her expression a blend of tenderness and surprise. "Oh, sweetheart, marriage is a big decision," she replied gently, brushing a curl from Lily's forehead. But I'm so happy being your friend. Let's cherish that for now. Lily nodded, undeterred, her innocent wisdom hanging in the air like mistletoe. Later, as Lily slumbered upstairs, Yannick and Isabella lingered by the fire, embers casting dancing shadows on the walls. The tree twinkled behind them, a symbol of budding life. Yannick poured 2 glasses of aged scotch, his hands steady despite the storm within. She's bolder than I ever was, he admitted, sinking into the leather armchair. Isabella sat across, her legs curled beneath her, the firelight warming her skin. Children see truths we complicate, she murmured, sipping slowly. The conversation turned intimate, vulnerabilities laid bare. Yannick's lingering grief, Isabella's quiet strength. In a moment of raw honesty, he met her gaze. I'm falling in love with you, Isabella. You've brought light to our shadows. Her breath caught, her eyes shimmering. I'm falling for you both, too, she whispered. But let's take it slow. Build this bond carefully. Their hands brushed, a spark igniting as the fire crackled on, forging a family not by blood, but by the deliberate choice of hearts entwining. The Harrington mansion had become a living tapestry of intertwined lives, where the boundaries between guest and family blurred into oblivion. Isabella Washington moved into the guest suite with a quiet efficiency, her belongings unpacked in neat stacks. Books on education stacked beside art supplies, a framed photo of her childhood placed on the nightstand like a talisman of roots. She claimed it was for practicality, eliminating the daily commute that drained her energy. But Yannick Harrington sensed deeper currents, a yearning for permanence, a silent affirmation of the bond that had woven them together. He didn't press. Instead, he watched her integrate seamlessly, her presence turning the echoing halls into a home pulsing with purpose. As Lily's educational coordinator, Isabella shed her second job tutoring evenings. The financial relief from Yannick's generous arrangement, lifting invisible weights from her shoulders. No longer calculating every expense, she poured her liberated spirit into Lily's world, transforming potential into blazing reality. Lily flourished under this undivided devotion, her days a whirlwind of creativity and conquest. Her first book, Dino Adventures, The Time Travel Wheelchair, exploded onto shelves like a meteor, its pages alive with illustrations of a wheelchair morphing into a sleek vessel hurtling through eras where the young heroine tamed tyrannosaurs with riddles and soared with pteranodons on thermal winds. Critics hailed it as a beacon for young readers, celebrating disability as a superpower rather than a shadow. Royalties poured in, Yannick wisely channeling them into a college fund that promised futures unbound by limitations. At Riverside Elementary, Lily joined the art club, her wheelchair gliding among easels as she led collaborative murals. Vast prehistoric panoramas where dinosaurs coexisted with modern marvels. Her classmates dipping brushes in solidarity. She launched a blog on paleontology, her posts dissecting fossil mysteries with the precision of a young scholar, drawing attention from environmental organizations eager for her fresh voice. Imagine if we could time travel to save endangered species today, one entry mused, sparking online debates and invitations to virtual panels. Yet the true forging of their family emerged in the crucible of everyday trials and triumphs. Isabella accompanied Lily to medical appointments, her hand steady on the girl's shoulder as doctors discussed therapies in progress. What once were sterile sessions became rituals of resilience. Isabella whispering encouragements like, "You're stronger than any stegosaurus spike," turning needles and exercises into badges of bravery. Yannick, observing from waiting rooms, felt his defenses crumble. Isabella's compassion was a forged hammer, reshaping his solitary heart. Dinners evolved into sacred gatherings, the dining room aglow with candlelight as they shared victories. Lily's blog hitting 1,000 followers, Isabella's classroom innovations earning praise. One evening, as Yannick served a succulent beef Wellington, its flaky crust giving way to tender meat infused with truffle essence, conversation turned poignant. "You've given her wings," he murmured to Isabella, his green eyes locking with hers across the table. She smiled softly, her brown gaze reflecting the fire's dance. "We've built them together. Your love, my belief." The proposal came under a canopy of stars, The mansion's garden a velvet expanse where fireflies mimicked the heavens. Yannick had planned it meticulously, a velvet box hidden in his pocket, but emotion overtook strategy. As they strolled paths lined with blooming night jasmine, its scent intoxicating the air, he dropped to one knee, the grass cool beneath him. Isabella, you've mended what I thought irreparably broken, he said, his voice thick with vulnerability, the billionaire mask stripped away. You've shown me family isn't born. It's forged in kindness and choice. Will you marry me? The ring caught starlight, a diamond encircled by sapphires like ancient fossils embedded in stone. Isabella's breath caught, tears glistening as she whispered, Yes, Yannick. Yes, 1,000 times. Lily's reaction was pure elation, her squeals echoing through the halls as she helped plan the beach wedding in Hawaii, a dream location where turquoise waves met golden sands, accessible paths ensuring her wheelchair could trace the shore. She pored over swatches and menus, insisting on dolphin motifs and a cake topped with edible seashells, her imagination fueling the vision. It'll be like my stories. Adventures by the ocean, she declared, her curly blonde hair bouncing with excitement. Isabella adopted her soon after, the courtroom a solemn forge where legal bonds sealed what hearts had already claimed. Lily beamed in her chair, clutching a new family portrait, whispering, Two mamas now, one in heaven, one here. The wedding day dawned like a promise fulfilled. The Hawaiian beach a paradise where palms swayed in salty breezes and waves whispered secrets to the shore. Guests, close friends, Lily's classmates like Tommy and Sarah, even riverside teachers, gathered on white chairs sunk in sand, the ocean's vast blue a backdrop of infinity. Lily, as flower girl, wheeled down the aisle in a flower-adorned wheelchair, scattering petals with gleeful abandon, her pink dress fluttering like wings. Dolphins leaped offshore, arcs of silver against the horizon, as if nature itself celebrated. Yannick stood at the driftwood arch, his tuxedo sharp against the casual paradise, his eyes misting as Isabella approached in ivory silk, her curls crowned with hibiscus. Vows exchanged like sacred oaths. I promise to cherish your strength, to build dreams without limits. Sealed with a kiss that drew cheers. Isabella lifted Lily into a group embrace, and the family forged in full view. In the reception's glow, under string lights mirroring stars, Yannick marveled at the journey, a chance voice at a wedding birthing this unbreakable alloy. As they danced, Lily spinning in her chair amid laughter, he knew their family, hammered from trials and tempered in love, was unbreakable. The sun dipped toward the horizon on the pristine shores of Kauai, painting the sky in strokes of fiery orange and lavender, as if the heavens themselves celebrated the Rodriguez-Williams family's unbreakable union. Waves lapped rhythmically at the sand, a soothing symphony underscoring the reception's joyous hum, guests mingling under swaying palms, string lights twinkling like captured stars, and the distant splash of dolphins arcing through the surf as if summoned by Lily's childhood dreams. 1 year had woven their lives into a tapestry of profound change. Lily, now 7, had seen her submarine adventure series soar to bestseller status, its pages inspiring children worldwide to embrace their unique voyages, while her marine conservation blog garnered accolades from global organizations. But tonight, amid the salty breeze and laughter, the true miracle was the family forged from a single act of kindness, now eternalized in vows exchanged under a driftwood arch. Lily Harrington, now Lily Rodriguez-Williams, her adoption a heartfelt seal on their bond, sat at the head table in her flower-crowned glory, her pink dress fluttering like petals in the wind, her wheelchair adorned with seashells that clinked softly with each excited shift. She held court like a pint-sized queen, regaling Tommy and Sarah, her steadfast classmates who had flown in for the occasion, with tales of her latest book. The heroine discovers an underwater city where mere dinos guard ancient treasures, she animatedly described, her blue eyes sparkling as she mimed diving motions. But she uses her smarts to befriend them. No legs needed, just heart. Tommy, freckles dancing on his nose, leaned in awe. You're like a real author now. Can I be in the next one? As a sidekick? Laughter bubbled up and Lily nodded vigorously, her curly blonde hair bouncing. This was her element. No longer the sidelined observer, but the storyteller at the center. Her confidence, a radiant force that drew people in like tides to the moon. Yannick Harrington, resplendent in his linen suit tailored to the tropical elegance, watched from afar with a heart so full it ached. His blonde hair ruffled by the breeze, he stood beside his bride, Isabella, their fingers intertwined like roots anchoring them to this new beginning. Isabella glowed in her ivory gown, hibiscus woven into her curls, her brown skin kissed by the setting sun. Their vows still echoed in his mind. To cherish possibilities where others see walls, to build a life of endless horizons. A testament to the journey from that fateful wedding ballroom to this beachside paradise. Guests raised glasses and toasts. Elena Rossi, the original bride whose reception had sparked it all, spoke of serendipity. James, Yannick's partner, of rediscovered joy. Riverside teachers of Lily's transformative spirit. But the evening's pinnacle came when Lily insisted on her tribute, wheeling to the center with a glass of sparkling apple cider clutched firmly. The crowd hushed as she cleared her throat, her voice carrying over the waves with the clarity of a bell. "I want to say something about Papa and Mama Isabella," she began, her small frame straight with purpose. "A while ago, at another wedding, I sat alone because people saw my wheelchair and not me. It hurt, like being invisible in a room full of fun. But then Mama Isabella asked, 'Why is she alone?' She didn't see wheels. She saw my stories, my drawings, my love for dinosaurs and the sea." Tears glistened in the eyes around her. Yannick's throat tightening as memories flooded back. "She made me feel special, taught me I could go to school, make friends, write books that kids like me could see themselves in. She showed Papa we didn't have to hide anymore. That love makes everything possible." Isabella knelt beside her, a hand on her shoulder, as Lily raised her glass higher. "So thank you, Mama, for choosing us. Congratulations to you both for listening to your hearts. And yeah, I was right about you belonging together. So next time I have an idea, listen faster." Laughter erupted like fireworks, applause thundering as guests wiped tears, moved by the profound wisdom of this remarkable child who had orchestrated her fairy tale. As the night deepened, the reception pulsed with life, couples swaying on a dance floor of packed sand, the band playing melodies that blended steel drums with soft ballads. Yannick swept Isabella into his arms for their first dance, her head resting on his shoulder as they moved in perfect sync, the ocean's rhythm mirroring their hearts. "I never imagined this," he whispered, his voice husky with emotion, "from that lonely table to here. With you. With her." Isabella pulled back slightly, her eyes locking with his. "We forged it together, one question at a time." Nearby, Lily twirled in her wheelchair with Tommy and Sarah, their youthful energy a whirlwind of spins and giggles, her laughter a melody that healed old wounds. Later, as guests departed with hugs and well wishes, the family lingered on the beach, the moon casting silver paths across the water. Yannick carried Lily to the water's edge, her wheelchair left behind on drier sand, waves gently lapping at their feet. Dolphins surfaced closer now, their sleek forms silhouetted against the starry expanse, as if drawn by the magic of the moment. "Look, Papa, they're saying congratulations," Lily exclaimed, pointing with unbridled joy. Isabella joined them, her gown trailing in the foam, and they stood as one, father, mother, daughter, linked by hands and hearts. "Make a wish," Isabella suggested softly, the sea breeze carrying her words like a blessing. Yannick shook his head, pulling them close. "No need. Everything I could wish for is right here." In that instant, the new beginning crystallized, a family not defined by blood or circumstance, but by the deliberate alchemy of love, acceptance, and courage. Lily's latest book, dedicated to Papa Yannick and Mama Isabella, who taught me every ending is a new adventure, rested in her bag nearby, its pages a testament to their evolution. As they walked back to the beachfront villa, sand clinging to shoes and hems, laughter trailing like comet tails, they embodied the profound truth that the most extraordinary journeys begin with seeing the beauty in others, exactly as they are. The waves whispered farewells, But for the Rodriguez-Williams, this was no end. It was the dawn of endless horizons, where love's forge had crafted something eternal. As the Rodriguez-Williams family embarks on their new adventure, we hope Lily's journey from a lonely table to a radiant flower girl has touched your heart and inspired you to see the beauty in every moment of connection. What did you love most about their story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear how this tale of kindness and courage resonates with you. A huge thank you for joining us on this emotional ride. Your support keeps these stories alive. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt narratives that spark hope and change, and let us know where you're tuning in from. Until next time, keep spreading love and looking for possibilities where others see barriers. We'll see you in the next story.